All right, so let's talk about people a little bit. Let's get into this. And I never like to say that people aren't good for us, because that's not the right word. Every person that comes into our life can be good for us in many different ways. Some can be bad for us, but then what we learn from it is good for us. And so ultimately, we learn anytime we engage with our world. What I wanted to go through today were some early signs. These are people that could be unhealthy for us if we don't set very stern boundaries, and more importantly, if we've been in abusive relationships, if we grew up in a rough childhood home, if we grew up in situations where we were not taught to recognize early signs of unhealthy behavior. Sometimes what happens is we find ourselves in unhealthy relationships pretty deeply in before we realize this is not going well. And so what I'm talking about today are people, if you're dating right now, or if you're not in a relationship and you're seeking a relationship, some early signs that this person might not be a good, healthy fit for you right now, or even friendships. And at the end, I know this is going to trigger some of this, we can talk for a second about what we do if we're already in one of these relationships, okay? If you are already in one of these relationships, it's not the end of the world. It's okay. And so we'll get into that later. But first, let's dive into this. One of the first things that stood out to me when I've worked with men and women seeking relationships is this excitement when they run into someone who wants to save them. And that initial reaction at first is, finally, someone's here to take care of me. And there is absolutely nothing wrong with wanting to be nurtured and having that peace be filled for you, and that peace that will nurture you and take care of you, and that person who's going to look out for you. I mean, how wonderful. However, unless they're a parent, what you're creating and letting someone take care of you and rescue you and save you is you are creating an imbalanced relationship. And what's so tricky about that is when you put them on a pedestal, now this person holds all the power in the relationship. And that's where it can get really unhealthy. And that's where sometimes it can also lead to an abusive relationship, because there's an imbalance of power. So that's a big red flag. The second one is you feeling the need to save them, where you go in and you like feeling like the one who has all the right answers, right? And you know exactly what to do, and here, I can help you. I ended up doing a lot of rescuing, a lot of saving in my early relationships, to which I found myself struggling to find balanced relationships in which it was just a give and take, and we just have fun together, and they take care of me and I take care of them. So I would jump into these roles, and I found myself, to the extent that I created this dynamic so that when I needed help and when I needed to be taken care of, I didn't have anybody. I had this imbalance in relationships, and I was with people who struggled to take care of themselves, and so they couldn't take care of me even if they wanted to. So our only relationship was based on this caregiver dynamic. So just take some mental notes of where you're at in your current relationships with regards to these two big ones. So the next one, let's move on. This is the person who you meet and they love you already. I mean, they just dive in with both feet and it goes really fast. And at first this feels so good that this person is crazy about you and they think the world of you. And these are often the people who end up going from nothing to dating, and they're seeing each other every single day and they have no space or time for anyone else. First of all, anyone who jumps in that fast is often going to jump out that quickly. These are people who tend to be a little more impulsive, someone who can't see very much in the gray, so someone is all good until they're all bad and you have to back out. And so what's really important is to be able, when you have someone that's just crazy about you, to know they don't know you well enough yet, clearly. Right? Because as much as we want someone to think that we are the world and we're the center of their world and we're the best thing that's ever happened, we know that that can't last either. And they're going to find out, heaven forbid, that we're not perfect. And suddenly they're going to be disappointed, right? So it's really important to be able to put on the brakes with these people, because these are people who are essentially not very mature or not very confident. So let's move on and let's go through just a few more. We know overt control seeking, just that bossy person who's giving us directives all the time. Do this, go here for me, do this for me. Obviously, we're all going to be a little uneasy with some people like that, and we're going to notice, man, they're always trying to tell me what to do. What's tricky is covert control seeking. And these are people who use what I call emotional blackmail to get what they want. So anytime you say no, or you assert that you want to do something different, or if you have an opinion, everything is overtly cool with them. They're like, yeah, fine. But they're the person who holds it against you in passive aggressive ways, that they're like, oh yeah, I'm cool. But then when you're trying to be affectionate, now suddenly they're like, no, I'm not feeling it. It's always little comments that just happen over and over and over again. They're upset with you when you don't do something for them. And so they're constantly seeking control of you, but in very passive ways. Big red flag. Totally unfair, right? And do you have people in your life that are doing that to you on a regular basis? And know that this is not someone who is often doing this even as consciously as it may seem. Often these are people that just really don't know or have the courage or feel safe enough, and take note of that they might not feel safe enough to be honest and straightforward with you. And so they're finding indirect ways to get their needs met. And so this is always an opportunity for you to have a conversation with them about what their needs are, and coming up with some kind of compromise so that you feel like both your needs are being met, okay? So this doesn't always mean you have to entirely reject this person or this person's a bad person. We all went through life, and 99.9% of us were not given that many tools about how to work with other humans. We learned from our parents who kind of knew what they were doing. We learned a little bit from grandparents if you had them around, and then we had peers and teachers and other people around, and they're all still trying to figure it out too. None of us have this perfected. So just know that if you do any of these things, or if you know someone who does, it's okay. It doesn't mean the end of the relationship, but it's room for growth.